tell me about the start of the Eurythmics. How did it start?
Well, Eurythmics came out of the ashes of a band that Dave and I had created before. We made 3 albums with the Tourists, and we had a certain amount of success in the sense that we travelled the world. We went to Australia and Japan. We've been on television and radio. For me, I look at it as a kind of rehearsal for Eurythmics, really. I cut my teeth. Is that a saying? Like you cut your teeth on it?
Yes, of course.
I cut my teeth on the Tourists. I really had the hardcore experiences, touring, performing night after night, you know, in front of sometimes quite rough audiences, because in the 70s it was the punk era, and so you went on stage, it was dangerous, it wasn't easy, you know. By the time the Tourists sort of broke up, if you like, that was when we had the idea, Dave and I, okay, this is maybe what we want to do now. We'll just become a duo, and at that same point, very interestingly, synthesized keyboards and little drum machines and computers, just the very early prototype of computers, started to be available in the shops. So with some money, you could purchase these things and you could create your own little home studio. And really, Dave was the great visionary in all of that, because he has an extraordinary facility for recording and technical things like that. And he just set the whole thing up. I was there, kind of, but more from the musical perspective. I'm a bit of a technophobe, but Dave got that started, and we had like a little, I think we started with like a 4-track machine, and we just started, and it was in this reduced space. I mean, now that just sounds like everybody does it. It's generic. Everybody records in their bedroom, and they all have Pro Tools and their computer, and that's all they need. Anywhere, you can do it anywhere. But in those days, that was really radical.
Now tell me about Sweet Dreams. First of all, would you agree or not, it's probably your best known work?
Oh, absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely.
So when did that happen, and how did that happen?
It's really, you know, when you think back, it's a funny story in a way, because on the day that we started to create this song, Sweet Dreams, I was in a terrible mood, and I was really ready to pack it in and to go back to Scotland. I had realised that there was no hope whatsoever, and it wasn't going to happen, and that was the mood I was in. So I was
You were thinking, we're done here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I was, you know, I was really depressed about it. And Dave was just like, you know, he's a very brilliant individual, so he's like, okay, you're down, okay, but now, well, you won't mind, will you, if I just go and do this? So he started to program a drum beat that was like that, boom, bam, you know. And then I was sitting sort of mooching in the corner of the studio that we were working in, and I heard him doing this, and then I was like, that's interesting. So then I got onto the keyboard, so I started to, okay, I'll play with this, I'll play with this, I'll play with this. And so it went on, because when you create music this way, you kind of start with a layer of the beat, and then you kind of come in with something else, and then you add something else. And it started with this notion of, somewhat self-deprecatingly, Sweet Dreams are made of this. It wasn't a good story. It was actually very self-deprecating. Who am I to disagree? I travelled the world in the 70s. Everybody's looking for something. And it was a statement about myself, ourselves, and then everybody else.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something.
It was about that dreaming of an aspirational dream everybody has, and then whether or not it comes true, whether or not it is fulfilled. And in the case of Sweet Dreams, ironically, what the song was all about actually fulfilled itself, which is so strange when I think about it. Because at the time, I really had no thoughts that the song would have such a sort of powerful trajectory.
Well, it certainly resonates in so many places around the globe.
I know.
Why do you think that is?
You know, it's so interesting. It's something about Sweet Dreams that people latch onto, that they identify with, and whether it's because they want to celebrate a victory from a football match or it's someone's birthday, I don't really know, but there's something in the song that people just love, and it's a very peculiar song because it's like a little mantra. It just goes around and around. It just says the same thing over and over, and people just have identified with it.